I was checking it every day. I'm like, oh, there's a wait to see what. Oh, it's like on the table in the back. Oh, got it.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the public. Thanks for all our guests for being here right on time. I want to switch up the agenda a little bit. We have a very special guest here today. This is the Disabilities Commission, our October regular meeting. Thanks everyone for being here. But just being mindful of the agenda, we're going to start off with special agenda item 3A. And because we have a special guest and we want to be really mindful of his time. So I'd like to welcome for special agenda item 3A, City Manager Oliver Cheese and his introduction to the Disabilities Commission. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Oh, is this working? Hello. Thank you, Chair Elliott and members of the commission for allowing me to just drop by real quick and say hello. My name is Oliver. I've had the privilege the last couple of months of being part of the city team. And as part of the onboarding process, I've been trying to make my way to all of our boards and commissions, really to say hello, introduce myself, and to thank everyone for the role that you play in helping make Santa Monica such a spectacular place. This is, in the short time I've been with the city, I've recognized this is a very involved and active community that's just set against the backdrop of one of the coolest places on the planet. Such a privilege to be here. And it's so terrific to see so many people engaged in issues that help make this such a special place, like the work of the Disability Commission. So I want to thank you for what you do. I'll let you know that I'm looking forward to working with everyone here as you continue the efforts that the Disability Commission's engaged in, and really just wanted to come say hello and thank you all for what you do. With that, thank you all very much, and I hope you have a terrific meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome addition.
Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager, for being here. Yeah, it just means a lot just to show up, and I think that I'm hoping this is a first step in an ongoing dialogue. We'd like to keep the communications going. I know we were trying to schedule some, so I'd love to talk more in depth, and just appreciate you also keeping us in the communications of what's going on in the city. letting us know the city's values and showing up here. And just one suggestion is accessibility should be a city value. This is National Disability Employment Month, so this is a big deal for our community, and there's some research out today that most accommodations are free or very low cost. So I think just making the city as accessible to our employees here who are doing great work would be great. But again, just thanks for coming. Really appreciate it, and this is the start of a relationship. Any commissioners want to chime in?
Thank you for the feedback, and I totally agree, Chair Elliott. Looking forward to continuing the discussion.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for sending emails on Sunday.
Yeah, really, at like 1 in the morning or something.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your diligence.
All right, everyone. I want to get just back on track. So we'll start with a roll call for the meeting. Give me 1 second. And then we'll go in sequential order. Commissioner Antonini's not here yet. Commissioner Rockfelt?
Present.
Chair Rockfelt, excuse me. Commissioner Clark?
Here.
Commissioner Kazmea Dodge is not here. Commissioner Azaria is not here yet. Commissioner Gordon?
Here.
Commissioner Royale?
Present.
Commissioner Adiemi is not here, and Commissioner Frames is not here. Procedure question, can I refer to Commissioner Wen as Commissioner Wen yet? Okay, Commissioner Wen?
Here.
Welcome. Okay, so we have a quorum and we can officially, well, we already got started, but we'll keep it moving. So I want to open it up to public input on non-agenda items. Is there anybody from the public for number one?
Not for non-agenda items, thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to agenda item number 2, public input for agenda items under special agenda items and the consent calendar. Do we have any public comments?
Pam O'Connor is first.
Welcome and thanks for being here.
Yes, please.
Hello, hello, Commission on Disabilities. My name's Pam O'Connor. I'm a aging mayor in Santa Monica, aging former mayor in Santa Monica. And first of all, I want to talk to you about the item on your agenda for MODE, the Mobility on Demand program that you're going to be hearing more about. Brilliant program, and brilliant in its coverage, because besides providing access to people within Santa Monica who qualify for the program, seniors and folks who are disabled. It offers and provides access to budget shopping options that are outside of Santa Monica that we don't have in the city, as well as it provides access to regional medical centers. So it's been a fabulous program. It's especially helpful for people who are car-free, and many people in those demographics are car-free, as I've been for the last couple of years, in a more sustainable way to get around and relying on public transit and other options, but MODE is a critical piece of that. Don't take MODE all the time, but when there's a gap, when there's someplace that is just hard to get to by transit, it's available. And again, it provides a budget option for people. It provides that point-to-point on-demand service. So last year there was a period, I had back surgery, had to use a walker. It provided service, gave me the service I needed. So today you're going to be getting a presentation that's going to provide information on expanding the service, expanding the hours, and also the days. And I'd really encourage you to support these improvements. one other idea I have too. So again, what you're going to hear about is going to go back to providing service on Sundays. Hours every day of the week will be from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Great. And again, there's a cap on the number of trips, and that's perfectly reasonable. But one thing, the one gap there is that there's not evening service. One thing one could add and think about perhaps is tonight I guess you will leave early after the public input because I need to get home. I'm going to have to take the bus. If I wait and if your meeting went to like 8:30 or 9 o'clock, it would cost me $15 to get home because the bus service is not there. So maybe some option where, say, 6 times a month you could, there may be some technical ways to get over it, but 6 times a month or 4 trips a month where you could do it in the evenings would be helpful. The next one I'm talking on is the aging and disability plan. And what I want to say about that, again, referencing that time when I was using the walker for a couple of weeks, I walked around town with the walker. And that's when I really, really became aware of the condition of pavement and how that when you are using a walker, and I was strong enough to be able to lift it, but not everybody has a walker strong enough to lift it, or even roll it. You're going to have displacements. So that, importance of pavement. So infrastructure is part of your planning and implementing proper infrastructure. And that brings me over to the issue of crosswalk ramps. The city needs to really step up its game and do crosswalk ramps properly. Now, sometimes there's the ones that are, diagonal. And thinking about that in downtown Santa Monica, when you have the scramble intersection, that makes sense, and they're really wide. Makes sense. But there are other places where it's just a small little diagonal, which can be confusing to anybody with vision disabilities or other kinds of disabilities. You need to do them properly, which is if there's a crosswalk, the ramp goes straight into the crosswalk, not into the middle of the street, where somebody has to decide which way. So the city really has to step up its infrastructure construction and whoever they're hiring to build it, because otherwise you're not going to will not be providing mobility for the folks you're here to serve. Thank you.
Thank you for being here and for your feedback. Really appreciate it. Do we have any more public comments?
Yes, we do. It is Carl Villan.
My name is Cara Villain. I'm here to speak on item 3D, though I think this topic is relevant to many of the other things you deal with. First, I want to thank you all for all the work, the important work that you do here. Making our city more accessible makes it better for everyone. As someone who is low vision and car-free, I know I benefit from many of the things that you all support. And I agree, accessibility should be a city value. As someone who cares about making our streets safe and accessible for all, I'm also here tonight to bring a concern that more and more people have been raising around curb ramps. So while the city usually does a decent job at providing curb ramps, we have been falling behind state code by making curb ramps diagonal instead of directional, in line with the crosswalk. From my understanding, the U.S. Access Board, as well as the California State Building Code, require curb ramps to be directional when feasible. This design improves the experience of people using mobility devices, such as wheelchairs, people with vision impairments, people pushing strollers, and really anybody who uses our sidewalks. They also make it easier for drivers to recognize the intended direction of travel of pedestrians crossing. Santa Monica has built a few of these directional curb ramps, like on 17th Street, on Michigan Avenue, and mobility staff agrees that these are an improvement. However, many of the curb ramps that have been built recently, including the ones around the 6 school projects, are diagonal. Sorry, I'm falling behind. Among others. So yeah, they've all been diagonal in the recent projects, and it's 6 school projects along other ones. Many of us have brought this to the attention of the DOT, and we haven't been able to get an explanation as to why these new curb ramps are diagonal and not directional. So I'm here tonight to recommend that you look into this matter, as I think it may be relevant to many of the topics you deal with on a regular basis, such as aging and disability. And I'd be happy to provide you with more details and state codes and all those things via email if that's any helpful to you. And since I have a little more time, I'm going to support item 2D on the mode program too. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your feedback and really appreciate doing the research and providing that technical piece. And if you have additional information, please feel free to share it our way. Thank you very much. Are we having some technical issues? Okay. Do we have any more folks from the, for public comment? Okay. And just noting Commissioner Antonini is in the building. And we went to 3A, so we're going to 3B. Okay. Okay, this is exciting. Special agenda item 3B, we have a new commissioner we're swearing in. So we're going to be swearing in newly appointed Commissioner Nicole Nguyen. So how it's going to work is you'll raise your hand and repeat after me. I'll say a few words, you say a few words, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So I, Nicole Nguyen,
I, Nicole Nguyen. Oh, sorry.
do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
or affirm,
or affirm,
as the case may be,
as the case may be,
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of California,
of the State of California,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the Disabilities Commission
of the Disabilities Commission
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
And this was subscribed and sworn to me before this. What's today's date?
And this was the
Oh, sorry, October 8th, 2025. Congratulations, welcome.
thank you.
And I don't see, we'll hold off on Commissioner Frames if she shows up. Yeah, so we'll keep it moving. So I want to keep the agenda, oh, sorry, and we'll have you sign something too. Yeah. So I want to move on to special agenda item 3C. This is the Mobility on Demand Program update. We have some guest speakers, Alfredo Torales, I hope I got that right, Transit Planning and Performance Manager, and Jessica Sachs, Administrative Analyst from the Department of Transportation with the City of Santa Monica. Thank you for being here and for the presentation.
Okay. All right, good evening. Can you hear me? Good. All right, good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. My name is Alfredo Torales. I'm the transit planner for the Big Blue Bus, transit planning manager for the Big Blue Bus. Also at the Big Blue Bus, we operate the MODE program. They're on-demand ride for older adults and adults with disabilities. So today I'm going to give you some background on the program, a little history, and then tell you about some of our updates or some of our short-term plans for the program. Okay, so some background. The program known as MODE was launched in 2018. Before that, it was known as Dial-A-Ride. So before July 2018, it was your traditional Dial-A-Ride where we had 5 or 6 cutaway vans that would transport people. In 2018, we contracted with Lyft, and so the benefit of that is just we have, their almost endless supply of vehicles, and so we're able to expand just the amount of rides we could provide. Again, the eligibility requirements are for residents 65 and older or 18 plus with a disability. Service area is the Santa Monica city limits. There's some select shopping locations in Venice and select medical facilities outside the city. The regular fare right now for MODE, one-way ride, is $1.50, but we do have a low-income program for folks who qualify for 75 cents one-way rides. There's a 30 trip monthly cap, And right now you can book your rides through the Lyft app directly, or we also offer cost center support for rides. Here's a map of the service area, again, the city, and some select destinations outside of the city. So the current operating hours are weekdays 8 to 4:30, Saturdays 8:30 to 3:30, and we don't provide service on Sundays. The cost center is actually only open on weekdays from those same hours, 8 to 4:30. Pre-COVID, weekday hours were 8 to 6, Saturdays were 8:30 to 3:30, and Sundays were 8 o'clock to 1:30. So just, limited hours. But when COVID happened, we cut some hours, and so this is kind of where we've been since then. In 2019, Council approved a set of program changes that included the monthly cap going from 40 to 30 trips. The minimum age requirement went from 60 to 65, and we implemented or requested the Council approve a series of fare changes. The first one went into effect in 2019, again, at $1.50, which is our current rate, and the low-income fare of 75 cents. We also, at the time, had approval or adopted fares of $2 and $2.50, or $1 and $1.25 for low-income members of the program. But those were never implemented because of COVID. So the reason for all of these program changes were to control demand. The program was growing so much that we needed to make some programmatic changes so that we could maintain the program within our budget. And so when COVID happened, our ridership just plummeted, obviously. And so we never had to implement those two additional fare changes. So we're still at the 2009 fare changes that were approved by Council. And here's just annual ridership for mode. So the first year in existence, we had 56,000. Again, we did implement that first fare change, so we did see a drop in demand. And then by 2020, COVID happened, and so demand is working its way back up. This year, for the first 3 months of this fiscal year, July through September, compared to last year, we're up like 35% in terms of rides, so it's definitely picking up again. We have 2,200 registered members in the city right now, last year averaged around 3,500 trips a month. It's, again, right now, this fiscal year, it's looking more like above 4,000 trips a month. And then in terms of the breakdown of our registered members, 86% are older adults, and then the other 14% would be under 65 with a disability. Okay, so we have two updates that we want to present to you today. Lyft Silver and our plans for service hour expansion. So let's start with Lyft Silver. And so Lyft recently launched this a few months ago, and we're promoting these features to all our mode riders. Essentially, they created this Lyft Silver interface for the senior population, which, in essence, it's like simpler, larger buttons. Have additional phone support. So before, one of the complaints that we'd always get is like, I can't talk to anybody at Lyft. I just, I try, I'm in the app, and I can't find anybody. So now when a rider puts or selects Lyft Silver as sort of their default interface, there's a huge button at the top that says Get Help, and that calls Lyft support. So that's good. Like, we're getting a lot of good feedback about that. There's more options about sharing your rides and your details with trusted contacts like your family, and it's just easier to connect with the driver. Just a simpler interface for folks. So I personally use this as well because it's just a lot nicer and easier. In terms of our plans for service expansion, so again, on the left, we have our current hours, which are weekdays 8 to 4:30, Saturdays 8:30 to 3:30, and no service on Sundays. Our plans are to reinstate pre-COVID service hours on weekends and actually expand beyond pre-COVID service hours on Saturdays and Sundays. So Saturdays and Sundays, our plans are also to go to or operate from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And so we're going to start with the weekend expansion in the next few weeks, and we want to implement all our service expansions by January. And so the way we're really working towards, or the way we've sort of found a solution for the weekend service expansion, especially the call center function, is to do a hybrid model where we would utilize AI call center to basically be able to take, your most standard basic calls. A lot of other agencies are doing this right now. And so your typical, can you pick me up from my house? I'm going to Vaughn's. The system will just repeat, your house is listed as 16607 7th Street. Is that correct? And so on, so there's a lot of verification, obviously. And then for more complicated issues, the person will automatically get transferred to a live agent. And so this is just like a cheaper way to offer call center support on weekends so that we could spend less money on call center and like more on actual rides. So, we think this is the way to go, again, in terms of expanding on weekdays or weekends. On weekdays, the expansion to 6 o'clock, those are all going to be live agents. So no plans to do that on weekdays. And so again, why extend service hour? We've been hearing it since the inception of the program, really even when Sunday, when we were operating from 8 to 1:30, there's just like a lot of needs on weekends. And so, of course, there's like, worship and family and community things that happen on weekends that we're just not serving right now. So those are just big gaps that we see and that we hear. And, anybody I talk to, they always, mention more access on weekends. So, yeah, that's why we're ultimately doing this. So the next steps, in the next few months, we're going to do just outreach, let the community know. We're starting today, basically, with informing this commission. And so we'll notify riders. In November sometime, we'll start with our regular Saturday service hours and pilot the hybrid call center just to make sure it's working and they're answering questions correctly and all of that, and address any concerns or issues. And then hopefully by January, that first full weekend, we'll expand all the service hours to what I had mentioned previously. Again, that's all my slides. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Just want to say thank you. I have some questions, but I've been talking a lot, so I want to open it up to the commission. Thank you so much for being here and sharing this info. I'm open to it. Yeah. Yeah.
The question I have for you, when you said 30 trips a month, are those round trips, or are they like, if I go to the doctor, that's one trip, when I come home, that's another trip?
Yes, they're 30 one-way trips.
Okay, so so really it's 15 round trips.
You could think of it that way, yeah.
And the second question is, does your software, is it supportive of older iPhones? I'm a senior citizen who has an iPhone 6S, and I'm very happy with it. They update the software, but only to point 15. And I couldn't sign up for Waymo because Waymo only accepts 17 plus. So I'm wondering, is your software compatible with the older iPhones?
Right now, riders use the Lyft app to directly book their rides. So I'm not aware that there's that limitation for the Lyft app specifically, but I'd have to double check. I'm not aware that it wouldn't support that phone you're reference. Yeah. Yep.
Go ahead, Joe.
Just one quick question. Do you happen to know how many users of the system like hit the ridership cap?
Not that much.
Okay.
It's very few. It's kind of hard to hit 30 rides in the month. And then, we have a great bus system. So a lot of people, the bus is ultimately cheaper. You get free transfers. And so for most people, that's kind of their first option, right? Like the bus is running every 15 minutes, 8 minutes in some corridors. So we find that's like, this is kind of a service where there might be like, somebody might need a transfer or it's a little harder to get to a certain part of the city. So that's how we see people use it to complement sort of the bus service.
Thank you.
Not too many people hit 30.
I have a couple things. One, I want to uplift our public comment. I think those were great suggestions. Sometimes you have a doctor's appointment at 5 p.m. You get out at 6:30, whatever. So maybe a little flexibility of the 35 rides, or a couple of them outside of those normal hours would be great. Just a little more flexibility. Happy it's expanding, and just over time, just kind of having a growth mindset of if we see best practices in other environments or things we hear from the community, continuing to grow the program. And then just one thing I also want to bring up that I've heard from the community in general, people with disabilities across the county, is sometimes people with service dogs or wheelchairs are not, I don't want to frame it the right way, just getting, there's a lot of issues. I'm sure you've seen what's happening in the news. So I just want to make sure there's controls to mitigate those, ensure our folks with wheelchairs, our folks with service animals are having equitable access to this great program that I'm hearing from the community. Thank you.
Yeah, can I just comment on that? Yeah, we take those concerns or issues very seriously. So if you ever hear anybody getting denied service because of service animal, let us know. Like we contact Lyft, we could have that driver never pick up anybody on our service. Drivers or riders themselves, if they get denied, they could rate the driver, or like just have a really bad sort of trip. They could rate the person 3 or less, and they won't get matched with that person again. So there's stuff that like Lyft does automatically, but again, it's been a while since I personally heard of sort of a service animal issue, but if you do hear, please maybe contact him. You can forward it to me, and then we'll address it. So take that very seriously.
Can you go over the basic economics of it? I understand that there's a $1.50 fare. Is the city picking up a difference? Has a contract with the Lyft for certain discounts? How does that generally work?
Yeah, essentially, yeah, we pick up the difference. So like if the trip is $8, the person pays the $1.50, and then we'll pick up the rest of it.
Do you know what the yearly budget is for this program?
Right now, because we have it's $800,000 a year, but this year because we have just leftover grant monies that we didn't end up using because of COVID. Like this year, we have a lot more. So we're seeing a lot of increase in service this year, and, we can absorb a, significant increase. If it ever gets to a point where we can't, again, we have those fare increases that we would have to possibly implement, or, there's other kind of program changes we can make to control that. But right now we're in a decent spot budget-wise.
So looking at the document here, I see in 2019, it was only for those who were 60 and older.
Yep.
And then it went up to 65. When did the 18 and older with disabilities start? And then second to that is, why not someone who's under 18 who might have a caregiver who is over 18?
So even before when it was dial ride, adults with disabilities were eligible for the program. So that's always been the case. So, that's not anything that we ever changed, even with mode. And then your second question, we've avoided, or, we haven't sort of served younger people with disabilities, mostly because, I think we've always felt like, at least school-wise, like from what we understand, the school districts are responsible for at least providing accessible bus service for that. And so, we're really just trying to keep it to this other population.
Right, there may be some concern of someone using it all the time instead of the available the bus service or something like that.
Yeah.
And what is a high demand period for you? For example, we were talking about the evening. Is the morning slow? Like there seems to be a standard 8 a.m. And why is it 8 a.m.? If we wanted to do some flex, could one day start later or some other option?
Yeah, we could look at that in the future. Again, historically, those have been the hours. Most of the rides happen between 8 and 3, because those are kind of in line with day programs and medical appointments. But more and more, we're getting concerns about just like 4:30 is just too early, and so that's why we really made an effort to see if we could expand back to 6 at least.
And just my last question is, when was the last time, I know there's some survey results here, but when was the last time there might have been a larger scale survey with the riders and what they're looking for and what their needs are?
It's been a while. Our partners at Wise and Healthy Aging used to do that for us regularly. Not so much since COVID, but it's a good point.
Yeah, that would seem, and question is, do we go night? Do we do, what are the demand? All of our times and processes have changed since COVID, so it might be something to consider.
That's good. So thank you.
And then maybe one quick question. Is the cost per ride dependent on the time of day? So yeah, I guess I'm asking, if you were to expand the hours to like the early morning or the late evening, would that, in addition to just the fact that more people would be using the service, would that end up costing more just because it costs more per ride, or is it kind of
so it's a couple things there. It's a share ride ultimately, so we do find savings when we can match riders. Like, it's public transit at the end of the day, so like we do try to share ride as much as possible, so that just kind of keeps the cost of the rides down. And then let's see, the other part of it is, there's what do you call it, like surge pricing. We don't really see that we hit that very often. It's like kind of rare. There's just so many Lyft vehicles in Santa Monica that like we don't ever really get to the point where we're seeing a lot of surge pricing. But in the past, when there has been sort of issues, we do see surge pricing, but it's rare, but that does happen.
Thanks.
Hi, thank you so much for your presentation and for being here tonight. I do have a question about the hours. I noticed with the hours for the program, they do kind of coincide a lot with what I see as like their frequency of bus running, like how often like buses frequently run. And when I think of like using Lyft, I think of like the middle of the night or like something late at night. And I'm wondering, like let's say like you need to go to the emergency room and it's like midnight and it's like you're like someone like elderly like wants to like go to the emergency room and it's like 11 at night, but they don't want the cost of an ambulance. Like, what is the rationale behind like having these hours as opposed to say having this program be like 24 hours?
The main consideration is just cost. We're just trying to get to 8 to 6 and see how that goes and just see demand over time. And, we don't have unlimited funds, obviously. I'd say in that situation, please call 911. Don't rely on this program for that. Like, we're not a emergency service in that case. So, but, Ms. O'Connor's comment earlier about like, maybe there's some like, option for a few rides after hours, or there's a cap and it's really only used for kind of maybe a late commission meeting or something or other. That's a good suggestion that I could sort of take back and see how that might, pencil out.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there like an option with the AI models where a rider could maybe request an accommodation and then that can do some decision-making process so that they can get a ride outside of the normal standard hours instead of like if expansion of the operating hours is, if expansion of the operating hours like is a risk for going over the budget, couldn't there be some type of model created with the AI so that they could request the accommodation as an option for the ordering,
maybe,
right?
that's a good suggestion. We're just trying to get back to 8 to 6, see how that goes, see how the AI works in the first place. So, I don't think we're there yet. Like right now, it's just taking simple calls like, okay, you want to go here? I see you always go to East Lake Medical Center, that's where you want to go? Okay, confirm. So who knows down the line, with all these advances in technology, if that changes, but.
Got it. So 'cause the reason why I'm thinking is somebody with severe anxiety who doesn't like to be in crowds, they can't go grocery shopping during normal hours. They usually go during the later hours. So that would prohibit them from accessing this benefit.
Yeah, it's ultimately a public transit service, so like people are going to share rides, Yeah.
Thank you.
You did mention sharing. What percent would you say are shared?
It's a lot less these days, for sure. I think maybe a third end up being shared, and it's because the city's so small and the trips are like a mile long that it's like, in some ways, it's just harder to share. And so I guess the difference between pre-COVID and now is that pre-COVID, our riders would share with anybody. So like anybody in the public. So we saw a significant cost savings there. Now the shared service on Lyft or even Uber, they just share with other program participants or other people on like other sort of non-medical emergency sort of programs that say Lyft operates. So it's just harder to share nowadays. But again, it's the sharing sort of model within these TNCs has changed from before. So a lot less than before, but still significant that we're seeing the cost savings or benefits from that.
And then it's a registration so that know who you are in advance.
You call to get an application. We're working on an online application. It's not set up yet, but you got to provide your proof of residency, your age or disability documentation if that's what's required. And usually it takes up to a month to get all that figured out.
You call it the big blue bus.
Yeah, we have a dedicated mode line, and it gets to the folks at our transit store, our customer service center.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I have a small question. We have mixed population here in Santa Monica, people speaking different languages. So relating to that issue, my question is that service support available only in English, or there is like some options?
English and Spanish are definitely easily available. For people with other language, we do have, I forget what it's called, like landline support. What is it called?
So you can connect them.
Yeah, you connect them to a third party, a translator, and they can do that.
Okay.
Now with the AI, we're just doing weekends. Apparently we're gonna have a lot more options with that at some point. So that's something we want to also test out as we're doing this on the weekends. And I guess I didn't mention the other benefit of doing sort of the AI is there's no wait times, because AI just picks up. You don't have to wait, cause when you have a limited number of sort of call taker or call agents. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Just one more idea, as I've heard some talking, maybe as this expands, just like a couple rides, more flexibility on the service area too, maybe a couple rides a month, just as down the road, as an idea.
Yeah, we get suggestions all the time about other places, but yeah.
Because people with disabilities in our community might have to go somewhere around here.
Yeah, of course.
Any other questions from the commission? Again, just want to thank you for coming here. We want to keep this communication open. You can email us whenever, and I know we'll have questions come up from the community, things going well, things not going well, and we want to keep this open. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Oh, that's yours. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, I want to keep the agenda moving to 3D, our special agenda item, a presentation and discussion on Santa Monica Aging and Disability Action Plan. Rachel Bell from Elizabeth Anderson Consulting and Alana Remerman, Senior Analyst from Homelessness Prevention and Intervention Division with the City of Santa Monica. Thank you so much for being here, and we're looking forward to your presentation.
Speak up if you can.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Okay, sorry. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Rachel Bell, and I'm a member of the project team with Elizabeth Anderson Consulting. We have worked with the city's Housing and Human Services Department throughout the planning process. And we are here, I'm going to start again. We're going to here to talk about the Aging and Disability Action Plan. So during this presentation, I'm going to share about the city's first ever Aging and Disability Action Plan, which is a 3-year roadmap to make Santa Monica even more livable for older adults, people with disabilities, and caregivers, which was recently approved by council. This work has been led by the city's Housing and Human Services Department and is rooted in extensive community input and interdepartmental collaboration. The photos you'll see in this presentation are from our March 2025 open house, where more than 50 community members gave input that helped inform this plan. And there also are some photos from our pre-community reception before council approved this plan. First up, why did Santa Monica build this plan? Well, the city's demographics are changing. Right now, nearly 1 in 5 Santa Monica residents are 65 and older, and by 2030, 1 in 4 Californians will be 60 plus. Disability also affects residents across the lifespan, but this prevalence peaks among adults 75 years and older, which is 42% of this group are living with a disability. In addition, 1 in 4 adults serves as a caregiver to family or friends. These trends underscore the importance of planning ahead to keep the Santa Monica community accessible, inclusive, and supportive for people of all ages and abilities. Understanding this need, the city staff look for external funding that could support a planning process to engage the community and identify priorities for our aging and disability-focused work. In the fall of 2023, the city was awarded a grant from the California Department of Aging to fully fund the development of this action plan. Over the spring and summer of 2024, the city engaged the project team from Elizabeth Anderson Consulting to facilitate this process. The city also engaged and partnered with Wise and Healthy Aging and the Disability Community Resource Center, which are the key aging and disability service providers in the city. The city also joined the AARP network of age-friendly states and communities to connect to AARP's resources and national best practices. Over this past summer, we promoted the project and recruited community members to join the advisory committee, which would guide the work. In the fall of 2024, we formed a 16-seat advisory committee with a mix of community members, subject matter experts, city staff, and commissioners. The advisory committee helped design the spring 2025 community needs assessment, which included a survey, focus groups, and an open house, all promoted in multiple languages and through a range of communication channels. All in all, we engaged more than 500 community members. Based on available demographic data and needs assessment findings, the committee formulated a responsive version for the plan with actionable goals that directly address the most pressing community needs. The advisory committee unanimously endorsed this plan in the summer, and the city council unanimously approved the plan in September of this year. There were a lot of positives that we heard through the needs assessment process. Nearly 70% of survey respondents rated Santa Monica as age and disability friendly, a great baseline. But we also heard about some real vulnerabilities that older adults and people with disabilities and caregivers experience in their daily lives. A few key themes are on the slide. Housing stability remains a pressing concern. Mobility and transportation challenges, especially safe access day and night. And finally, gaps in timely, clear, and multilingual information. These community priorities directly inform the plan. The vision is clear. The city of Santa Monica is a community where people of all ages, including older adults, people with disabilities, and caregivers, are respected, valued, included, and empowered to live with dignity, joy, and connection. To get there, the plan outlines 5 interconnected focus areas, which define goals for each. 1, mobility, access, and inclusive public spaces to create more accessible streets, public spaces, and transit. Connected, resilient community, supporting stronger social networks and volunteer opportunities. Coordinated communication and outreach to increase availability of clear, timely, multilingual information. Housing stability and affordability to create more affordable options to help residents remain stably housed. And finally, inclusive emergency preparedness, providing more preparedness education, neighborhood support, and emergency services for all. The goals in each focus area were vetted with city departments to ensure they are high impact and achievable within the 3-year time frame. If you would like to dive deep into the action plan, you can find it posted on our website, or we can get you a print version on request. Next steps. On behalf of the city, we want to sincerely thank the broad network of local stakeholders, including partners on boards and commissions. Our collective contributions have ensured this plan is actionable, community-driven, and ready to launch. Implementation will begin in early 2026, led by a collaborative of city departments and community organizations. The collaborative will align this work with other city initiatives, identify budgetary needs and funding strategies, set performance measures, and provide regular updates to the public. We will continue to collaborate with AARP during the implementation, and we will submit a final progress report to them as part of our membership in the Age-Friendly Network, which will be shared publicly. In addition, we look forward to presenting updates to the community along the way. We will continue to engage with the city's boards and commissions in the implementation phase and look forward to your continued involvement. In closing, this plan builds on Santa Monica's long history of inclusive investments, including accessible public spaces, mobility and transportation programs, and social services and housing targeted at older adults and people with disabilities. Additionally, it positions the city and community to better meet the needs of our growing population of older adults, people with disabilities, and caregivers. Moving into the future. Thank you, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Just thank you very much for being here. It's a milestone that this, plan was adopted, and thanks for coming here. I know we want to do this more than once, so it's hard to get too substantive or too specific into stuff, but just thank you for being here. I have some stuff, but just want to open it up, and I look forward. This is a key part of our work plan, so this is one of many meetings I'm hoping we'll have, but just want to open it up to folks before I chime in.
On a go forward, so a 3-year plan, who or what organization is now responsible for implementing this plan over the next 3 years?
Hi, my name is Alana Remerman. I've been here a few times. I'm with the Housing and Human Services Department, and our department will be leading the implementation, but it will really rely on an interdepartmental / community collaborative to move that work forward. So we'll be kind of the convener, but individual strategies will be held within different departments, like Department of Transportation is a great example of that.
Yeah, thanks for coming and speaking with us. I was glad to hear that, one of the 5 goals that you mentioned was around housing stability and affordability. I was just wondering if you could go into a little bit more detail about, what the approach was going to be there.
Sure, let me pull up the plan right now, and I can speak to those. So we have our goals around expanding rental assistance for older adults and people with disabilities. And that's going to be achieved in large part by the renter protection program that's rolling out next year, which will be targeted. Two of the prioritized populations will be older adults and people with disabilities. Expanding the city's Preserving Our Diversity program. So I'm sure you've heard of that program before. It's operated out of our housing division, and it's about, again, increasing the number of people enrolled in that program from 220 to 300 people. Increasing awareness about housing resources. So one thing that we learned across our needs assessment process is that people don't know everything that the city already offers. There would be comments like, oh, we should do this or that. And we're like, oh, we already do that, but people don't know about it. So hosting more community events where people can learn about the resources that the city already provides. And then developing more affordable housing for older adults and people with disabilities, which is really around like the actual units themselves. And so this is putting a priority on housing for those populations when we're looking at our affordable housing pipeline. And I'm not in the housing division, but if you have specific questions around that, we can definitely communicate those questions back to our housing team to get you more specifics.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. How people can request implementation and what will be the actual process? Like, can they submit just like email to you if they had some sort of recommendation to implement?
Yeah, we have the information on this website or on this slide here is our public. It's posted on our website. It's available on all our materials. So members of the public can contact either the phone number here or the email address, and they can get in contact with someone on our team. Mm-hmm. The plan has been approved by council, so it's kind of set in terms of what's officially in the plan, but we're always, open to hearing other community feedback around what we should be doing. One thing I like to say is the Aging and Disability Action Plan is the beginning, not the end, and it's not the only thing we're doing around aging and disability mm-hmm. at the city.
Thank you very much.
When you mentioned the plan includes rental assistance, is that like the Section 8 program, or is that a separate program from the Section 8 program?
It would be inclusive of Section 8 and other, all types of rental assistance, but the expansion that we're envisioning as part of this strategy will rely on the implementation of the renter protections program, which includes some rental assistance components in it, which will be launching in 2026. And there'll be a lot of community outreach around that program.
I think, I was involved with this process, and just one thing I want to make sure we get voices of our younger folks with disabilities. So, it's a public comment today, but there's a Senate bill that just passed that I'm hoping, we'll have a virtual option so we can get maybe our younger folks can participate virtually, or just sometimes too is I can get speakers that speak to younger people with disabilities, but they can't come in person. It's easier virtual. So I'm hoping the virtual option to more events, hybrid model, will bring in more voices that we're not hearing from, because they're the future. So I want this plan to represent them. And then I think I talked a little bit about data, and just I think our city needs to just have an open mind. There's some things coming into play next year with data exchanges where we'll get better quality data. just that accurately reflects how many people have a disability in the city, that counts people with episodic disabilities, not included in the census. So I think we can improve data quality as this progresses. I think I'm hopeful we can get more younger voices, and we just want to thanks for keep on coming. That we really appreciate that,
Yeah.
number one. Thank you.
And I hear you around the data. I think that is something I actually heard that is part of the citywide equity plan as well. So one of the things that the implementation collaborative will be working on is aligning with other city plans. So we'll definitely be plugging in with the citywide equity plan to see how we can try to get better data around disability in the city. And in terms of younger people, that was definitely a challenge for us. And I think we spoke about that at the last commission meeting, and are definitely wanting to grow in that area and see how we can do a better job engaging with that population specifically.
And one more avenue too I really think about is innovation around assistive technology, but innovation while also managing privacy. We're seeing these just incredible innovations every day, but we also want to protect the data of the disabled users using them. So take advantage of these incredible, the ability to get on-demand AI captions or wayfinding ability, or, I mean, there's brain-computer interfaces there's just so much we could go on and on. We want to use those in a safe way, and that ties back to data, that we're collecting it in the right way and good stewards of it. And this is going to be ongoing, but just being open to innovation and being really mindful that we're collecting only what's needed in a secure, private way, and maximizing the assistive technology features and maximizing the privacy. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just had a question about the city's policy in terms of, how do I word this? How, like, accommodation requests are accepted or considered? Like, what's the policy in terms of if a person applied for rental assistance and wanted to request a reasonable accommodation, do they have to be a program participant or receiving assistance from the city already before that's even considered, or does...
That would probably be a question for our city attorney's office. I don't know the specifics of that. I do believe that the Legal Aid Foundation of LA is coming next month to talk about some about their services that they provide, and also speaking about reasonable accommodation process. So maybe that would be a good question for them. Unfortunately, I never got my law degree, so I know that we, in general, the city provides reasonable accommodations for our programs, but I just don't know the specifics of that for, various departments. But, perhaps Legal Aid Foundation of LA or the city attorney's office would be able to answer that question more specifically.
I just like to step in that question. A request for reasonable accommodation is kind of like regulated by Fair Housing Act. So, and also subject like federal and state law. And I think every program have to comply with the requirement. And to answer your question,
Yeah.
I think it will be.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well, but I'm just not an attorney or don't have a law degree. So, but that's aligns with how I think about it as well.
Going once, twice. All right, I just want to say thank you. We're going to keep this going because as we get more input from the community, and we got 3 years, but we really want to be involved with the implementation.
Yeah.
Very much so. So
We'll definitely be circling back with you as that process takes shape. So looking forward to continuing to work.
And resources, we post really good stuff on our agendas, and
Yes.
one of our items is to get a web subsection to really curate. So I think there's some synergy there between our resources and wanting to get the word out on things that exist.
Yes, definitely. So looking forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, I'm gonna keep the agenda moving to item special agenda 3EI. I believe this was your item. Commissioner Clark shared a resource about the Angel City Games. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, it was just a great fun event that they're doing in the South Bay that I thought might be fun to do in Santa Monica. It was just kind of like a Special Olympics, just something that looked like a lot of fun. I don't know if any of you guys had a chance to take a look at the website, but it just looked like something that might be a lot of fun to host in Santa Monica. If it was something that any of you guys thought might be worthwhile, I can reach out to them, see if it would be worthwhile to talk to them about maybe hosting in Santa Monica, see if there's any budget for it or anything like that. But yeah, if any of you guys had a chance to look at the website.
I participated in the Angel City Games during COVID. Paul Gasol was there. It was all virtual. I have the shirt, and they sent us exercise and did Zoom. So, and they're always at the Abilities Expo, which I go to. So I'm a big fan of the organization. So if you have a contact or if we can talk, maybe that's some youth. Yeah. Yeah. So I love this organization. So maybe that's worth exploring a little more. And thanks for sharing that.
I was just going to say too, it would be worth maybe contacting with the Parks and Rec Department, or the Parks and Rec Commission, because that might be a good collaboration between us and them.
Great. Okay. Excellent.
Thank you, Commissioner, for sharing that. And just for our new folks, if you have good information, you want to do an announcement, get on the agenda, email me. Part of our role is advising on good stuff out there. So again, thanks, Commissioner Clark. 3EII. So this is actually a big month. October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. In the past, the commission has done events or something, so maybe in the future, next year, we want to do something. The chair has written articles in the daily press about best practices for employment. So I'm just sharing what's from the federal government. They have a lot of best practices and resources out there, and just because I want to acknowledge that this is an important month for our community. So that's just the purpose, some good resources, and this is a big month, and hopefully next year we can do something a little more robust on this, because this is one of employment for people with disabilities is huge. And then 3EI, just Southeast ADA Center, they're part of the ADA National Network. They provide technical assistance in all things disability policy. They've just put together an amazing set of webinars recently, so I just want the community to have them. They had an amazing one on AI. They partner with other universities. I'm more familiar with ADA Pacific region because we're in the Pacific region, but they have them all over the country. And as I was researching some stuff, they just had some amazing content for free that I think would benefit the community and the city. And I talk about one of them in AI because they had just an amazing webinar on PDFs, which is going to be one of the major accessibility barriers, is making PDFs accessible. So just a plug for them. 3E4, this is the California State website on Certified Access Specialist. I just share that because it has a directory of people with this certification. These are architects that are specialized in making things accessible, ensuring buildings, architecture, et cetera, comply with all state and federal laws. This just comes up over and over again, and I'm always sharing this link. So let's get, they even have there's professional CASP organizations that have architects and things like that, but there's also kind of associates who are more like ADA coordinators or program folks, but it's good for everyone to know the standards because they came up today and they're going to come up over and over. So again, city, before you ask me, look up CASP stuff, please. Okay, so that's that. Another great resource, and I think I've brought this up again and this was just in our aging plan. Sorry, this is 3E5. The California, we're lucky. We have an office, we have in the Office of Emergency Services, we have a access and functional needs department or unit, or other jurisdictions only have like a coordinator. We have a whole unit here, and they just have amazing resources, and they put together a monthly newsletter with the latest stuff. So in the past, I've shared their resource library, but this newsletter gets that refresh every month. Again, I'm sure, I just want the city to have this. This is great free information. So that's that. 6 we just talked about, but I just wanted to get it out to the community, the official website for the Aging Action Plan, just so they know about it. So that's it. Just want to, again, share free stuff. Any questions on any of that? And there's hyperlinks if when you look at the web version, if you're watching online, you can click on it, it'll take you to it. All right, I'm gonna keep it moving then. 5A, consent calendar. Commissioners, you should have got a copy of the agenda. And just typically, if you are not in attendance, you abstain on the agenda. Yeah, just want to put that out there. But if folks take a minute, if you haven't already, to review it, and if someone's inclined, make a motion to approve.
I think there might be a couple of extra words that need to be stricken, just on the 13A, future agenda planning. I think the finish filling in items is might maybe a placeholder. And then maybe on 9A, it just says Vice Chair Rackfeld. But other than that, it looked good to me.
I wasn't here, so I'm not moving.
All right. I'll move that we accept the minutes after striking the Vice Chair Rackfeld in 9A. And finish filling in items on 13A.
Go ahead.
Terribly sorry. Yeah, I was reading here. Swearing in a reappointed Commissioner Frames and newly appointed Commissioner Teresa Clark. And then it says the oath was not administered to Commissioner Frames, who is absent. And I'm starting to think it's, each commissioner chair should be given a lot of weight. I don't know what's going on with her. She hasn't been here in months. I do know that there's a certain number of times that you have an excused absence. And so I don't know what we should be doing about that, because as far as needing a quorum.
Well, let me try. There are protocols for attendance that we are following, so
Okay.
I'm on it. But thank you for.
Yeah, only because it's been.
We're on it though. Thanks.
It's
Yeah.
long time. Okay. Okay.
My motion get a second?
I think it's a good time to raise one question. I would like to ask everybody if we will be agreed to share our emergency contact information with Thomas in case if something happened, or commissioner absent for a certain period of time and we have no clue how to contact that person except their personal phone. So if we will be agreed to kind of submit emergency contact, I think it will be helpful to find out what's going on.
Let me touch base with the liaison and see what we can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, did something happen to her, or did she? Because I see you've been the new chair. She's been gone longer than you've been chair now.
I will say we're following the protocols for attendance, and I'll touch base. We can talk about it, but let's stay on the agenda. But
Okay,
I
I
will say,
hope nothing bad happens. In fact, I'm going to be calling Commissioner. I have her number. I'll call her tonight because she. You know.
we don't always bring it up in official business, but we do. That's part of the administrative part of the chair that me and our liaison is very diligent about, and we do our due diligence on that stuff.
Oh, okay.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
Still learning here. For the mention of Vice Chair Rackfelt in those minutes, this was for the meeting last time. Is there a stipulation where if he's the sitting person and the chair is absent, it would then be a different title for the vice chair?
No, I think it's just that there's like, Vice Chair Rackfeld, ... It looked like
I'm sorry.
You had like a sentence that you were. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I think that there was maybe you were intending to add some like sentences about what he was saying or something like that, but maybe missed it. So I just, yeah.
So we have a motion, a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain. All right, I think we're good on that. All right, I'm going to move to item 6, public input on remaining agenda items. I don't see anyone from the public. Okay, so I'm going to keep it moving then. 9A, discussion and possible action on scheduled parking rate increases in Santa Monica, and I'm going to let Vice Chair introduce this one.
Just trying to think of, I mean, right, this was brought up last meeting because I had finally dug into it and I found the changes to be unsatisfactory. I had thought when we were met, there were a lot of changes on there that were actually not related to our disabilities community that were not even brought up during that meeting because there were some, so we're just here to talk about the beach parking, and then there was other areas brought in. So I just had a concern that it might be something for us to have another look at, or this, you had mentioned, I think, Commissioner, is that if it goes to the Coastal Commission, someone had mentioned that maybe that might be the opportunity to chime in again with that because it needs further approval.
If I recall, maybe this is just good learning opportunity to do better on presentations because we had the presentation and this thing passed and maybe we didn't intervene in the right way. So just kind of a learning. And actually one piece of feedback that I gave during the presentation, and I'm kind of, I'll say frustrated, choice of words. On the website, they refer to placards as ADA placards, which is a point of contention during the presentation because there's no such thing as an ADA placard. Is that like I write on a paper, I meet the requirements of the ADA? There's a DMV issued handicap placard, and in this case, I think language matters. So I would like to request that this webpage linked is we update ADA placard with the appropriate language from the DMV. So I am glad you brought this up just to, and I got kind of frustrated during the meeting about that. I'm like, it's not good. But I think just maybe the purpose of this is just what can, moving forward when we have a presentation and, we're all learning here, just asking what's the intervention, what's the timelines. So for this one, it's already gotten as far as it's going to go, and our next opportunity to give input is at that Coastal Commission, and we'll do better moving forward.
Yeah, I think the point that frustrated me was calling out very directly that the reason they raised the rates for disabilities was to reduce abuse, which is not the reason. Yes, that's maybe a byproduct, but to lead with that. to lead with that really, I didn't believe was proper. So yes, it was a learning, as it mentioned, it's a learning for me that need to be a little more, I need to be a little more proactive when you read these things.
Yeah.
And
And I want to say one thing, and then I'm going to get to you. And Thomas, can you keep us posted on when the Coastal Commission thing comes up for this? Because now it's on our radar. And
Yeah, I would like that to mention that I'm frustrated as well as everybody here. So, and the way how they present everything to us, like it's like placard abuse, and that's why we increase the rate. It's absolutely like going in conflict with everything they like just pass and doing. So I personally working on this parking issue related to like placards, handicap spaces usage, etc., etc. And I keep postponing to submit those my finding to commissioners, but I will do this time. I would like to ask you guys, please read and kind of like give your advice, because I think the changes should be brought on a city level and probably even on a state level, because placard, DMV issue, it's a state level. The city can improve a little bit, change the language, but they cannot change those placard issuance, which is going on, and it's like out of control. And placard abuse is like out of control in many ways, not only on a, like city beach, etc., etc. So I will be finishing those documents I'm working on for like extended time, and I will be sending to you, Alex. So please kind of like, if you have any sort of advice, just like feedback, let's just kind of ask the city manager to include that issue with parking in a city council meeting agenda, get some public feedback, so, and just like, push the changes, because the people with disability affected really badly of those placard for fraud and abuse. And also there is like, for example, we have new construction, parking is limited, and the handicap space is counted not by unit number. It's counted on a percentage of available parking space. For example, if the building built and it has like 270 units and only 50 parking spaces, it means it will be counted like they taking those 50 spaces and the counting percentage of those 50 spaces. It means it will be kind of like 3 parking spots maximum for 270 unit building. We have to kind of like push that question. So because like, I don't know how those people with disability will be like moving around, parking their cars if they're like already limited space on the streets. So thank you.
I wondered, it seems like for the parking in city-owned structures where they reduced it from 90 minutes to 30 minutes, it seems like there should be some kind of like offset for like people with mobility issues, like that need the extra time. Like somehow there should be like some kind of like, they should do something, like give that, like there should be like an ADA placard holder, like free, there should be like a free, something, there should be something there for that. See what I mean? Because they're not doing something for people who need the extra time there.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like when I will sense like my finding and my concern, you guys have to kind of like do your input and propose some changes. Let's do that together.
Commissioner Gordon, did you have your hand up for this item?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. Just, and I think we got to think about how to do it strategically. So we know transportation is key. So, and a component of transportation is definitely parking for people with disabilities. So that's maybe the frame, and let's think about the best approach. Maybe it's saying it in an articulate way, data informed in the Coastal Commission meeting, or sneak peek of our plan. I want to have us do a public hearing, so maybe that's an opportunity. But and in the shorter term, we can agendize that once you have your findings and talk about it more, because I want the whole input. So I can give you like my thoughts before it goes to an agenda. But this is a commission thing we should talk about during a meeting and think of a strategy. But first, once you get your findings together.
And just so I understand, is the issue here with the rate increases that the rate increases are being done citywide, despite the fact that in the presentation, the focus was really on abuse at the beach specifically?
And I'll pass it. I think that's part of it, and also it was the approach I thought of the presentation was more like hyperbole and persuasion than data informed approach. Yeah, so I think the combination of both.
I think the actual state of California increase those parking rates everywhere. So, and they also had some sort of, requirement they tried to pass, and they, I understand increase of rate, but I'm not understand why they, I'm not understand there's excuse to raise for disabled people those rates, and like how they use it, the language. Disagree completely.
Yeah, it wasn't data informed in my perspective. It was more like get upset about these anecdotes.
Yeah.
So, but this is a good learning, and I think we have some next steps, and appreciate you taking your precious time to do the analysis, and we'll continue this conversation.
Yes, thank you.
So, you want to move on from this? Any more thoughts on this one?
That's great. I just wanted to thank you for putting some data together, and let's make it a global issue to explore.
No, the thing is, I'm kind of like fighting for parking issue on a personal level. Before I even became commissioner, I help other people to kind of like dealing with the parking issue. And what I see so far, it's unsolvable. So if somebody doesn't want to accommodate disabled individual, especially in city in Santa Monica, it's like no way you can force them to comply with law and rules and regulation.
Yeah.
Because city attorney doesn't want to deal with it. Civil rights organization, they don't have any sort of paralegals or attorneys at the entry level who actually looking into initial complaint. So they have some sort of like people who just like train it. They don't know law, and they deny everybody as well. And we in a situation when people with disability who really need assistance, they left without any sort of accommodation. Despite they applying for reasonable accommodation, they doing that requests. So that's why I'm kind of like, I'm keep pushing that issue, because we will have more issue later. We have to fix it now because the city is growing, new construction coming, new residents coming. So, and we like keep facing the same circumstances, same issues, which needs to kind of like be changed.
Well said, and thanks for kicking this off, and we'll keep it going. I want to move to the next item, but actually an oversight on my part, and liaison, I need your help. So we got a public comment on our website that I didn't address yet. So should I just circle back to 2 and talk about this and then go back? You can if you like. Okay. So, folks, we got a written comment, and it segues nice into the next portion. So, members of the community, you can read it in its entirety. It's on our website, and there's a printed copy for the commission. We got a written comment from Jacob Wasserman. He's a member of the Planning Commission, but he's talking as a citizen, and he's talking about a Senate bill that just was signed, Senate Bill 707, that allows municipal or advisory bodies to meet virtually. Yeah, and he just goes to talk about SB 707 a little bit more in depth. But yeah, so I just want to acknowledge that. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it really just gives kind of a synopsis of Senate Bill 707 that was just signed by the governor. Under this law, we're an eligible subsidiary body because we are an advisory council. So this applies to us specifically. And may give us a virtual option. So again, public, the hyperlinks here, commissioners, you have a copy, please read it. Okay, sorry for the oversight on that. We'll get back to the agenda. 9B, reports from ad hoc committees and liaisons, and discussion and possible action on reestablishing and or establishing additional ones. And just some context, we have a new commissioner. If there's something you're passionate about or a topic, we usually create an ad hoc committee to work on it. It has to be, I believe, 5 members or less, and it's time limited, and there's usually a deliverable. So these are some of the topics. We like AI, and we have one on our annual work plan. And then once intervention, or at the end, you might write a letter to the city with recommendations, and then you close it. So just start thinking if there's an ad hoc you want to create or in the future want to join on, that's an option. And then part 2 is there's other commissions in the city. So if you're interested in being a liaison for another commission where you may attend their meetings or follow what's going on and bring a report back, and think about ways to collaborate or insights from other commissions to our commission, that's an option too. So think about it if you want to ad hoc or be a liaison. Okay, just wanted to provide that context. Okay, so 9BI, Ad Hoc Committee on AI Opportunities and Risks. That's Commissioner Antonini and me, and we shared some links. I don't know if you want to start and I can chime in with the links.
No, you can go ahead with the links.
And again, I'm reviewing the draft. It will get posted. We will post a draft at the next meeting for everyone's review and input before finalizing it. But one thing, so again, the legislative cycle closes October 12th, and there are some bills that are pertinent to this. So we'll have more information October 13th to make the plan more up to date, and so that's the good news of the delay. And I just wanted to share a couple links. So there was a Senate Bill 53, around AI that has some impacts, and there's a hyperlink to learn more about it. I'm still diving into it, but it's apparently a big deal. So take some time to learn more about Senate Bill 53. Another bill being considered, and we'll know the outcome by the 12th if it hasn't been either signed or vetoed already. It's about companion chatbots. That's come up a lot in the news. I think the term in the media is like AI psychosis, and just people putting some guardrails about companion chatbots and use cases are acceptable, not acceptable. But again, Senate Bill 243, that's the link to the actual bill, and we'll know if it passed or got vetoed by the next meeting. 3, this is actually a link I got from the Social Workers Disabilities Council, just assistive technology that seemed really interesting. It's a brain-computer interface, but technology that doesn't require surgery, and There's just a lot of potential there, and I've seen more articles related to this, but you know, you may have heard of some of the ones where people needed surgery, but there's like, my understanding is some sort of headgear with sensors, no surgery required, that could improve access. And I've seen since the agenda came out more articles related to this. So again, this is just an article. Assistive technology, I think, is a big topic, and brain-computer interfaces that don't require surgery are some we got to think about, and of course privacy. And but again, assistive technology is there's some big innovations there. And then 9B4, this is a really well put together, in my opinion, webinar on just remediating PDFs, and they talk a little bit about, you know, some tools, but I think something we've thought about exploring is, can AI make documents accessible? So I thought this was pertinent to that topic, and just free information for the city. I know you got a lot of PDFs to remediate in the next 6 months. This is expert technical assistance free of charge. So this is also kind of a free game for the city. And for, you know, if at your agencies you got to make PDFs, you know, when to remediate, when to turn it to an HTML, some of the tools, accessibility checkers to make those fixes. So just free information. And again, and maybe we can talk after the meeting just on an approach, but the plan is to get a draft posted and get your feedback, and then hopefully 1 month after get a finalized. But again, we'll do our best. There's a lot on our plates.
Yeah, and I'll just add too that what's on my agenda is so I think that the text is in pretty good shape, but I still need to, you know, we've collected loads and loads of references and resources over the past you know, couple of years as we've been working on this, and so I want to, you know, in part weave those references into the text itself, but then also just have as a supplement, you know, the most relevant resources that we found.
Yeah, there's just, it's such a huge topic and we also want to be strategic that it's something written in a way that's digested. So maybe I like our template, like how we have like a page with like, this is what we want. And then maybe we have like, you have really good like context, and then we have like a reference. So maybe it's like a boom, 1 page, this is what we do, this is what we want. Section 2, what the technology is. Section 3, curating the resources. So it's like digestible. I'm just concerned it's getting kind of long. And I'm just concerned that they won't read a 6-page document, but they'll see what we want. I want them to know what we want. So that's so maybe we can talk about strategy on
yeah
the delivery.
yeah I think it needs to be reorganized a little bit so we can have that like executive summary at the top that just has the, you know, real action items, and then, you know, if you another section where you can go deeper, and then at the end, you know, if you really want to go deep, that's where all the resources are.
Yeah, I have like in our past letters just that you can go to that. This is what we want, number 1. This is what we want, number 2. And I want that to be clear. And then if they want to dive deeper, we're not going to throw that information away.
Yeah, we can show that we've done our homework.
Yeah, okay. All right, we'll touch base, and the goal is to let you guys chime in next month. Okay, any questions, or should I keep it moving? Okay, 9B, II, report from the Housing Commission, Planning Commission, and Architectural Review Board meetings. Commissioner Gordon, any updates?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it just, it gets worse and worse. So, you know, it's just really bad. I don't know if you've been paying attention to, what didn't go to ARB Monday. That's, I guess it slipped my mind. But, and I think I'm going to really start trying to see if I can go to these zoning commission meetings, but they're at 10:30 in the morning. But I'm going to really try and do that. The housing commission meeting was canceled, and so that October 2nd because of the holiday, so it's been rescheduled for October 14th. I do think that Chair Gordon no relation, met with you guys, and I'm going to call her too. She hasn't been feeling well, so I've been meaning to text her. But we need to really, they are just bulldozing over the entire city. Can't get any questions as to what's going on with, they have what's now widely approved offsite affordable housing, which Mayor Negrete referred to as modern day redlining. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what redlining is. For those, you're not, oh, and welcome to the commission. And I'm terribly sorry, how is your last name pronounced? Wen. It's Wen, like W-H-E-N? Yeah, or no, whatever. Because I'm really embarrassed because I always heard it pronounced Nugian, but it.
Yeah, I think it's just because or I feel like a lot of people from my cultural background don't have the motivation to correct people, or like we correct people too often, so it just kind of becomes tiring, so we just accept it as it is.
Oh, okay, because I've worked with, a lot of the Vietnamese that we pronounced it Nguyen and they didn't say anything. But it's pronounced Wen, like W-H-E-N.
Yeah, or Nguyen, just depends on the person.
Nicole.
But I just say Wen just for ease, or it's just easier.
Wen.
Yeah, just Wen.
That's the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I know that. Yeah, okay. All right, thank you, and welcome to the commission. Yeah, anyways, what Commissioner Wen, what that is there was a word that was a bait and switch. I don't know if you're familiar, that there was an agreement with all these, that they're bulldozing with all these high rises going on, that it was supposed to be earmarked some units 10% for affordable housing. Now they have market rate, they have affordable housing, and they have what's called BMH, which is below market housing. They're not even adhering to BMH, which is below market housing, which is bad enough, but they're not even adhering to affordable housing. In fact, I'll give you a flyer that I handed out to people that I think is important for you to have, so you can take a look at what we're going through here in Santa Monica. Can I hand it to her, or just we pass it down? They gave it to everybody else. I think everybody else got it. Like for example, what you're gonna get, it's a studio apartment, which is 375 square feet, $2,364, and your annual income has to be at least $69,342.86. So that's not affordable as far as I'm concerned. But anyways, it's bad enough that they're not even hearing to affordable. They, city council, and much to the credit of Mayor Negrete, she's been really holding the line and really standing up and doing opposing vote. I bumped into her outside City Hall, talked to her, and she just is really disgusted by modern day redlining. But anyways, what modern day redlining is, that it's offsite affordable housing, which is telling these developers that they can go ahead and build separate buildings somewhere else. And they could do whatever they want with these buildings.
So can I make sure I understand this correctly?
Okay.
So they made a commitment to create affordable housing or below market housing, but the redlining, modern day redlining, is when they're given the approval to move those units to a different location and segregating it, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a separate building, and God knows what's going on with that. And we've been actually really trying to find out how many of these units that would be affordable if they were still adhered to with on-site are ADA. It's bathrooms that are accessible. We can't get an answer. I've pretty much been, brushed aside by, ARB really doesn't like me. There's this person, Stephanie Reich, who's just, she's she's with the city engineering this whole thing. You're not allowed to ask that, you can, but at ARB, I went to the meeting before this one that I missed, and it's just really alarming. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to take a 2-hour ethics training. And so it takes a long time. But what I've learned, was that there's a quid pro quo. You're not supposed to be awarded a contract if you have left. It's a pretty intensive test. Left a commission or a board I think for a year, or at least a year. There's somebody by the name of Keith Tighe, Tighe, and he was on ARB, actually, and then magically he's no longer a board member. Next thing I know, I go to the ARB meeting. He has a proposal in, he is an architect, and he just left the board. They yanked the ARB yanked the approval for the architect who was slated to build where the Gap is at 20th and Wilshire. And then magically they didn't approve him, and then this Keith Tighe guy who was on the board is the architect now who put in a bid. So he got the project for the Gap building at 20th and Wilshire. So I just have to really sidestep carefully, because I mean there's so much. I think it is relatable to what we're talking about because it all ties in. So he was awarded that, and I did ask Stephanie Reich at the end of the meeting. I said, didn't he sit in the board? And she said, yeah. And I said, wasn't that really recently? So anyways, they referred to these buildings as Jenga buildings. Jenga, I'm not familiar with what those are. I think it's kind of, but it doesn't appear to me as though there are any ADA approved units in these buildings from the, I mean, I'm not an architect. We can look up the plans, but I don't see anything as far as any wheelchair accessibility. They didn't discuss anything like that. The main thing they're just talking about is aesthetics and tile color and tile design, and a lot of that is coming from Sacramento. But it doesn't look to me as though there's anybody with a wheelchair or any kind of thing as far as with the bathroom setup. I'm not hearing that. I haven't looked at the blueprints and the plans, but I think these are just little, to quote Chair Gordon, sardine cans that they're building. With no ventilation, no direct sunlight, and so that's what's going on with that. There's an article, Santa Monica Daily Press has been really good about keeping up on this. So I'm just really not, I'm still a tangible paper person, so I still pick up the papers and clip the articles. And so Santa Monica City Council approves 2 controversial zoning corrections amid economic pressures. And that was in today's paper. And I'm going to go ahead and keep this. I don't know if you guys are into getting an SMDP or going online. I won't go into too much detail, but I think that Santa Monicans are finally waking up to this. It's really bad. This is about the thrifty Rite Aid. They want to do something there, which is a violation of zoning, but zoning just went ahead and did an exception and approved it. So I won't go too much into that article, but I still think it's important just to continue to interface with the Housing Commission because this it's getting worse and worse. I told you guys about the Bergamot Station because it just makes me cringe when I go to the Architectural Review Board meetings, but at least I'm able to hear what they're talking about and what they got planned. And because they got 770 units, like I said, with no accessibility, no affordability. That's they got offsite for that, and that's Bergamot Station with no parking at all. So when we discuss parking, and then I think Commissioner, I think you noticed, and Commissioner Azaria noticed that with these flyers here, with this affordable apartment, it's $60,000-$70,000 a year that you have to make. There's no parking at that property, so. We got to really see what we can do to fight this.
That's what I'm saying. It's like they build a new structure and there is like no regulation, no words about how they will manage handicap parking, or they will be giving extra assigned parking to disabled individual close to unit as required. Like, what is the solution? There is like zero word.
But that's the point. They said there's no parking.
Yeah.
Can I add on to that? Just with your concern, it's just an addition with people who are in supported living, their staff members also can't park either, and then it becomes an issue for them and they can't get staff coming in to their home and supporting them to become more independent.
Yes, because that's the rule. It's like, for example, if somebody had in-home supportive service provider, the property manager have to provide parking not only to disabled individual, they have to find solution to that person who is in-home supportive service provider to be able to access that parking structure to assist disabled individual. In reality, there is like really not convenient parking they issuing for disabled individual. On top of everything, they're restricting in-home supportive service provider to not use that parking structure. That's what's going on here in Santa Monica.
I know.
So, and that's the already like old apartment building, like already kind of like well-known management groups, landlords, et cetera, et cetera. And now we have like new people coming in, building structure, calling it affordable housing, which like nobody can afford at that rate. Yeah, I mean like just they label that affordable housing just for the purpose to have something to build and charge commercial like rate.
No, I know.
That's how I understand, because like if they required only 10% of units be affordable,
But they're not
how
even
many
doing that.
units then they will be able to like ADA approve to have with that? I mean, it's just kind of like, I don't know.
Well, so just, this is reminding me, I think one of our follow-ups is either we were going to go to housing or have Gordon, so I'm just hearing, but there's definitely some collaboration just to see how we can approach this in a strategic way. And again, just I appreciate Gordon, just Commissioner Gordon attending. One thing I'd like to hear from Chair Gordon, just what they're thinking about. There's a lot of changes happening at the state level and more by October 12th, and also at the federal level. Even today, there's some withdrawal of some guidance documents that may impact people with disabilities. So I'm curious just their thoughts on navigating all these moving targets and changing things because federal, state impacts local. So there's just a lot of moving parts. So we'll just keep talking about this, but we need to collaborate a little bit closer with Chair Gordon, so we'll follow up. And go ahead.
Yeah, I just had one quick question. I was curious if you, Commissioner Gordon, had if you had found where, like how far away the off-site affordable housing is. Is it like a building next to the building that they're, the main building that they're building? Is it across the street? Is it like 3 blocks away? Is it in San Bernardino County?
Yeah, right.
Where is it?
Right, yeah, or Easter Island, yeah. That's the thing. They're not held to any kind of standards. It's a bunch of semantics games.
But like in practice, have they said where it is, or?
No, I mean, it's like no commitment. The ARB just goes ahead. Okay, fine, like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be clear, like ARB doesn't really have any control over this. Like they really can only look at like, sort of the facade of the building, so to speak.
Yeah, it's just aesthetics. That's right. You're right about that. It's mainly city council, where there's most of the members of city council are just hooked up pretty tight with the developers. So there's really no, they could care less, about whether the units are ADA or what's, any concern about that, or whether or not there's any they don't want parking. I mean, that's one thing I found out when I went to ARB. I said, well, if there's no parking, they just approved, like I told you guys a long time ago, 173 units with 52 parking spaces.
Yeah, it means 3 maximum handicap spots.
Yeah.
With 170 units.
Yep.
That's it.
With 53 parking
Yeah.
spaces. They don't want people to have cars. See, that's the point. But in answer to your question, yeah, they haven't been held to, they don't really even have to say where that is or where they plan it to be.
Okay. Yeah, so it sounds to me like there's kind of 2 things to like maybe follow up on. So one is, I think, figuring out, exactly how far away the off-site affordable housing is, because I think like that does make a difference. And then to the point about parking, like it does sound like one concrete proposal we could make. I don't know if this would have to be like a recommendation to the state legislature or something like that. But, if the number of accessible or like handicapped parking spots is a fixed proportion of the total number, there has, as people have noted, been this trend towards lower parking requirements for new buildings to try to get people away from cars and onto public transit, right? But that, even if it makes sense on the whole, might, you know, if you're just applying naively this fixed ratio of handicapped parking spots to total parking spots, you know, this may put us in a situation where there are now too few handicapped parking spots for a building. So like that ratio, a concrete proposal we could make is that ratio, you know, should change, you know, in accommodation with the ratio of the number of parking spots to the total number of units in the building.
Or
right?
total amount of
ADA
tenants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the same.
Because one unit can have like one bedroom unit can have like up to 5 tenants. If there is like, for example, one disabled individual or one disabled child or 2 disabled individuals, so it's kind of like increasing number. It's like not 1 person per unit, so it's like 5 can be there. So, and I have a question. Do you guys know by any chance when City Council will be having some sort of discussion on affordable housing issue? Why I'm asking, I'm gonna explain why. Because I watch lots of City Council meeting, and there's like lots of people who try to do public input, and they talking in favor of affordable housing. But what they not understand, I think, that the building they built here contains only 10% of affordable housing. So, and when they voting or like raising their voice in favor of affordable housing, it doesn't mean that those buildings under construction will be for low-income people and will be affordable. It's like only 10%. It's like
I mean, I think to be clear though, that this is like a state level, like a state level requirement.
Yeah, but they
you know,
kind of like
the city has really no power over
right.
this.
But for example, when they try to change and discuss,
Hold on, guys. Let's go. I should say you go. Let's okay. Let's.
Can I go?
Everyone will get a chance, but let's. Okay. So you were speaking.
Yeah, when they discuss airport change, like a lots of people try to do that public input and say, yeah, we need affordable housing. What they really not understand that first of all, the soil is poisoned after 100 years of using that place as an airport. That's the one thing. And another thing they not understand that if they even build apartment building, there will be only 10% of that building for like affordable units. It's like 10 maximum, like, I mean, it's like nothing. So, and somebody needs to kind of like be more clear and emphasize that affordable housing doesn't mean that like whole building will have only affordable units. So.
I want to speak to one part is just make sure and you can sign up to get the updates for when the council agendas are posted, so you get it. So everyone, I have that. So in my Santa Monica inbox, I say the agenda's been posted, the agenda's been amended. So then you get it at the earliest date because it doesn't go on the website until they have the first draft, and then they tend to iterate until the Tuesday of the meeting. And there's also a protocol for doing input in person and a protocol for doing it. I think you can write in a day before. It's all on the website, but there are protocols for giving input if you can't make it, and for doing it in person, and for getting updates to your Santa Monica inbox. So just get familiar with all three so you know the protocol, so you can give your feedback in the best way possible.
I think we have to start kind of like do more action to requesting City Council to add more items on their agenda related to disability, like matters. So,
and I think that's a good segue to some of the items. So I'm going to suggest. And again, thank you for being the liaison for these commissions, and this will be an ongoing topic. But I want to move on because I think this is pertinent to 9, B3, and there's the handout, and on the agenda, there's hyperlinks to a Word version and a PDF version of our, and this is totally a draft, our 25-26 annual work plan completion. So this is a report from our ad hoc, but so just some context is there. I just got a new template from the city, so I think there was an old draft last meeting, so I did my best draft of moving it over, but this is not complete, and we're going to talk about this. And timeline is we'll get your feedback today. Ad hoc, we should meet, so let's talk after the meeting. Just do it like in past years. We'll do a Teams meeting, screen share, collaborate, and I can type, or someone can have this document up, type, and we'll get it to a final-ish version, post it next meeting, and finalize it, and then I'll get it to our liaison as close to after next November's meeting as possible. So you're going to get feedback today. We're going to get together as an ad hoc at least once, maybe more if we need it. I'm flexible, and we're going to have one more meeting to finalize it. So that's the context. And this is just our plan for what we want to work on between next meeting, so November 12th and June 30th of next year. And just, I want to work on this earlier next year. And I know I've had this feedback for years now, but on the record. So again, and just want to give context for the document before we discuss. The first two are just like things, copied and paste things, just of our statement, our responsibility. And then 3 and 24, 25, I tried to copy and paste just from the last draft. But again, if you have thoughts on improving this, I'm most concerned about the next section, FY 25, 26, that we get what we want on there. And I just tried to transfer things over. But again, this is draft, and we will iterate twice. And so any thoughts? And also after this meeting, let's just schedule our first meeting to discuss this ad hoc. And I apologize for not being here to work on it last time, but I think we have a good start. And some things from our work plan, we even I thought it was a big deal that we got that a Disability Pride Month proclamation and established that we're going to do that every year. So we already got one big thing done. And today was even a milestone for one thing, is we want to work on the aging plan. This ties to one thing I'm going to add here, and then I'll let everyone else talk. Is I do want, as a follow-up from our last ad hoc on hybrid meetings, I think this unlocks the key. And I want to be even more specific. I'd like to target May as our kickoff. And I say that because that's after the April 24th Title II rule, so I want our first meeting to be accessible. So for the ad hoc, I'd like to suggest that as a goal, hybrid meeting within the constraints allowed by SB 707 as an addition. All right, I just want to open up. That's all the context. Any thoughts on, I want to focus on this 25-26 work plan section. Take a second, and then anyone chime in with your thoughts on what's not here, or what you want to see.
I mean, I was thinking, with the annual public.
Sorry, could you turn on your microphone?
Sorry about that. With the public hearing, I just love to post it on the bus and stuff, to get a lot of turnout for it. Post the date, for people to show up and stuff. Something like get a social media campaign and post the date on the bus ads and stuff to get the turnout, to get the public to show up, to really get the input for it. So I don't know if that would go here, or if how who would design the bus ad, or who would create the social media post, or what channels that would even go through. But when I saw hold an annual public hearing as part of the work plan, that's where I thought, oh, I really hope we can get the turnout, and how would we go about doing that? And then, of course, Angel City Games, I don't know if 25, 26 is too early to put that on there as a possibility,
But even if the games themselves don't happen, I mean, there's going to be preparation that's involved in that. So I think if you're definitely committed to that idea, it should be on the work plan.
I need to speak with our liaison just so I have a better sense of the procedures to make this happen. I know it's in the ordinance and one of the roles of our commission, but we haven't done it in a while. That's why I want to bring it back. But exactly how we do it, can we get a presentation or some technical assistance at an upcoming meeting on exactly what that would look like? Is that an item on a city council agenda? That's what I'm hoping. That's my understanding of that. Or is it one of our meetings? That's not what I'm hoping for. How do we have this within a city council meeting? And part B of that question is, what's the process to get this agendized so we can have our public hearing as part of agenda? I know there's like a whole protocol we have to follow specifically. So if we could have someone from the city break that down for us so we follow it while we have some runway. We want to do it the right way. And so I'm hoping it's an item on an agenda for city council that we mark it in the right way and we follow the protocols.
I actually check the proceedings, and the best of our choices to get as more public input as we can, it's submit, request city council to add issue on their agenda. That will be the best choice. So, and the best of my understanding that we have to work on certain issue, we have to agree what we're going to change and what we're going to propose, and then we have to go to city manager, right? No, I'm mistaken?
I don't know the procedure right now. I can look into that, but
yes, please.
I'm not sure. I can't answer your question.
That's what my research was telling me, that we have to kind of like submit to city manager and request to add to city council meeting agenda.
That might be true if we're talking about like an issue and a particular issue, but like it's in our charter that we're allowed to have a annual hearing, and I've never seen it since I've been on the commission.
Not only allowed to, we're required to.
We're required to. So is that a 16 item? Like we haven't flexed this, and we need to get that back. So yeah, I want to know the constraints around this, the process, what exactly within our roles and responsibilities in the city ordinance where it says we're supposed to do this annual thing, what does that mean? And how do we do it? There's also the separate issue of how we get something on the agenda that's of importance. I want to know that too, but just to say, like, how do we get what's described in the ordinance to happen, and how to, ideally, during a city council meeting. I want to make that distinction. But I think also I'd like, when the city talks about getting that, I also want to know how we get things agendized, because that hasn't happened in a long time, and we need to do that. And I hear you. We need to agendize things that matter, because in the past, our letters just go into the dark. I want to give the benefit of the doubt and the grace to the new staff, because they came to our meetings today. They've been responsive, so we're going to give them a clean slate. But we need to have we need both routes. So I hear you, but go ahead.
We actually can look at the other commission, how they doing. Mm-hmm. So they actually kind of like representing their items, and then they had those items on a council meeting agenda, and they have that input from public on those items, and then they correcting issue if there is like some sort of, preposition or something. So I think we should do the same, but yes, of course, we need to check before.
No, and so I think our liaison also probably works with the commission. So if he has a template or a protocol we can follow or best practices we can learn from, not only getting it on the agenda, but in the most strategic way. So I think we have, let's talk about this when we get to 13A, because I want these to be future items. So, but let's try and do a little more damage on the 25-26 section of this, and then we'll circle back for future agendas for that. Is that okay?
Can I also make a proposal for our big meeting for the annual public hearing? Since we're going to probably have some good lead time on it, that we coordinate with Alfredo Torales, who is here tonight from the transit planning and the performance manager, about expanding the hours of the mode program for that night, for that particular night, so that people can get a ride home in the mode program, a Lyft ride home from the meeting that night. And like when we blast it all over the bus and social media, we can say that it's expanded mode hours for going home that night.
That's a good idea. We'll explore that. And hopefully by then we'll also have a hybrid option for folks who can't make it in person or have an access need. So hybrid. Okay. Vice Chair.
So Chair, are you looking for just some ideas, like brainstorm ideas that we would then put in here and start fleshing out? So obviously we have, so that's just it. Any ideas? We talked about parking as a potential area to just.
And ad hoc, feel free to write this down. We're going to meet, so we're gathering this to inform our meeting, because we got to get this finalized in the next month.
And then there's a continued website, which we'll talk a little bit about later, but that's a rolling one that would be the intention to make some progress. There's probably some aspect of housing in there. It's just how to word it, how, what. Right, I don't have an answer. I just know that that's a topic that's coming up in terms of that.
Just small remark regarding parking. I heard that there is some group of people in California who try to push changes to the DMV code regarding handicap parking on a state level. But I just kind of like read, I don't know where they are, who they are. So, but there is some people probably we somehow can be in contact, or like, because by reading everything I read so far, I don't believe that we can bring that changes on a city level without breaking state level rules. So,
yeah, no, I think this topic is so complex. We need some analysis, and also, is this group aligned with the goals of our commission? Like they could have, I don't know this group, they could have nefarious goals. Like, so I think the intervention may need to take place at the state level, but I think we just need more analysis, and we'll look at the information we get to inform what we do.
Yeah.
But this is it's very complex.
It's
about what
very complex issue. I didn't thought about this in the beginning when I start kind of like do my research, and then it's just like, it's like never ends.
With a lot of things.
Well, I'll tell you, and not that this is relevant to our meeting, but the easiest way to get rid of the handicap placard abuse is to put everybody's picture on the actual placard, because they hand them off to the relatives. And see, DMV doesn't want to do that. I think there's a lot of graft and corruption.
There's a privacy issue too. There might be like privacy concerns with that as well.
Because like I'm from Oakland, the city of Oakland. If you're a disability person, in order to get reduced, it's called AC Transit That's their bus system up there, like Big Blue Bus. You have to have your picture taken. And so they go ahead. So it's actually really not about privacy. It's just a lot of
They're
corruption.
using city resources, actually. They're not paying for parking, like fee, right? On the meters.
Commissioners, I want to get back to this
Yeah,
25,
okay.
26, please.
Okay.
We'll have a whole year to discuss these issues.
Vice Chair?
No, just questions. What other topics have we come across this year that at this point we can put down on our master list? And what I think the idea of getting public hearing, that's a big one. I did not realize that was a mandate, and if it's a mandate, it'd be great to get back to that.
And I do want to emphasize also the work around the ADA self-evaluation and transition plan is huge. And there's subsections within that may cover some of the topics, like a transition plan should probably have something on transportation and facilities. So maybe some of the topics we're talking about strategically would make sense to work with the ADA coordinator to implement in the plan. So we also need to figure out, I think the topics are important, but how we package them strategically. And I think you don't get an opportunity. I've been an ADA coordinator to do a transition plan that often for a city. So we also don't want to do so many things that we're not focused on the things with impact. So we want to have all the ideas and figure out how to, and prioritizing them and package them. I just want to give that context. I think we have a lot on here between the plan, doing hybrid meetings for the first time ever, the transition plan, and a hearing. If we do those three and just knock off the stuff already on a plate, that would be a huge year. And then next year, we can kill a lot more, or we can handle a lot more stuff.
And then I guess, one thing I'll add too, and thanks for putting together the draft. It's a really good start. And, I think definitely the website stuff, I'm really glad to see that, that's there. That's, I think, super high priority. And then one thing, thinking ahead, that's, we've already talked about it, but it's going to be more of a discussion topic in the city is going to be the airport conversion project. So as that, starts to crystallize from, these kind of concepts that they've been talking about into real concrete plans, we're going to want to have a voice in that. So I don't know how much it'll factor in the upcoming year. We'll probably just want to keep abreast of, those changes. But as we start to get closer to the airport close date, that may become a bigger item on our agenda. 2028 is, I think, the number in my head, but
I don't remember, but I know that anytime a milestone is about to happen or happening, we're having them come back here. So I don't know the dates though, but keep reminding me if I don't remember, because we need to be, every part we need to be in the conversation.
That's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot here. I think though, also you can email me too. If, sometimes stuff doesn't come on the spot. So that's for anything, email me stuff. And I'll tell you where it's going to go or tell you why, where it may fit. So feel free to email me between meetings. But there's a lot on here. I just think, I think there might be, ideas, but it's just, I think we got to figure out how we can fit them into these really ambitious goals. I think that we can get not too much, not too little on the public hearing, because I don't want to have 20 topics and then, we do 2 minutes on each topic. So that's something I'm just thinking out loud about. But I think we can really take advantage of these topics in that self-evaluation transition plan. And there's examples of what these look like. And a lot of the things we're talking about fit in that. And that's a document of what the city's going to do, where there's gaps in ADA and what they're going to address. And if we get that documented by working with the ADA coordinator, you can request it and it'll be on there. So I think that might even be one of maybe the number one, just thinking out loud, working on the self-evaluation transition plan. Number two, the public hearing. But again, our ad hoc will get together. But actually, let me frame it another way. Is there any ideas not on here that you feel like have to be on here, and then ad hoc we can maybe strategize before the next meeting? But is there anything absolutely missing from this 25-26? And if it doesn't come to you on the spot, email us. I have to list all the in-progress ad hocs. So we have, so I'll add the AI website. So, okay, the website. What is that? 9B4. Okay. And then any that will be added. Okay. All right, I just want to open it up. We still got some more stuff on the agenda, but is anything absolutely missing? Any thoughts before we move? All right, going once, twice. All right, so if something comes up that's absolutely needs to be on there, email me, and I'll bring it to the ad hoc, and or think of it between now and the next meeting. You'll get one more crack at this, so think about it over the next month. And we'll post the draft when the agenda goes out about a week, so you'll see it for a week before the meeting approximately. Okay, thanks. I think this was productive. I think we'll get it done by November. I'm confident. Okay, and ad hoc, let's meet and schedule. All right.
If I may underline, just regarding the due date for that, the drop dead due date that I've been given is the 13th. It's the day after our next meeting.
Okay.
And I have a 5 p.m. deadline that day.
Okay,
so,
I'll get it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry to push it.
No. Yeah, so the day after next meeting. So we have one more meeting. Yeah, that's fine. So we're good. We're good. And then again, my recommendation: let's do this earlier next year. Okay.
And I just want to confirm, the Housing Commission meeting is going to be on the 14th of October? Thank you, and thank you for sending me that reminder. So if you guys want to go to the Housing Commission meeting on October 14th, that might be a help. And I'll text Chair Gordon, because I haven't heard from her, so I'm a little worried about her. See how she's doing. Because they're really good meetings. You learn a lot.
Okay. Item 9E4, this is the report from the Santa Monica website Quality Assurance Review ad hoc. Commissioner Antonini and Vice Chair Rockfelt.
This is pretty quick. I didn't get this going last month. It's on there. I will start it. It's just been a busy month, so. And it will dovetail well into the working plan.
No, this is a great one. We've talked about just getting our section on the website, and I think if we just curated the stuff on all our agendas over the last year, that could be a start and getting rid of duplicates and old stuff. But no, this is a great idea. Thanks for spearheading. Okay.
I have limited time to look through everything, but so far I just like to notice Since that's the city website, we probably will be advising people who entitled to make changes to kind of like separate commercial issue like businesses, employment with private issue like tenancy. You understand what I mean? So because there is right now like all resources put and combine, and it's hard to navigate and split. For example, for people who working in Santa Monica and doing business in Santa Monica and have some sort of like disabled client or disabled worker or like whatever. So, and like to know the regulation attached to business and to find some resources for people who actually living here in Santa Monica, who are tenant here, resident here, and try to find some issue related to housing, I don't know, activities, etc., etc. So that's so far what I see.
Yeah, that's definitely a component of this ad hoc effort. So I have a couple thoughts. Also, just to be quick, in the past, I've gotten a template on what to fill out to update the website. I think it expired because emails expire after years. But I'd asked if there's a template. It's also there's things in multiple places, so like just getting them in one place and then getting them organized in a certain way. So I'm hearing public. I'm also hearing like I was hearing components of the ADA. So Title I's employment, Title II is local government, Title III is, so that's maybe we could subsections by, so the organization and there's user design principles on how to organize like UX, and that's, technical. So combining all those into a recipe of where people can find what they're looking for, and now stuff is all over the place. And it doesn't have all the best stuff, and we have some of the best stuff. So I think it's all those components. But I'm speaking for the ad hoc, so. But it's going to come up every month, and we'll talk about it next.
We'll organize a meeting to get together and start going through that. The challenge is take the low-hanging fruit, move on to the next one, and the next one, and get some traction so that we make progress instead of just talking, which is always a challenge.
So maybe a follow-up, Thomas, more homework. If there's that template on updating the website, if we could get another copy of that to this ad hoc. Okay. Sorry, I didn't announce you, Commissioner Royal. My bad. I skipped you. Sorry about that. Okay. 9.5, discussion and possible actions on creating new ad hocs. Is this on anyone's agenda? Anyone have a burning desire to create an ad hoc? And again, newer commissioners, if there's something you're passionate about, you can create an ad hoc. But I think we got plenty on our plate, so I'm going to keep this moving. Same with the 9.6, discussion on possible action on liaisons for Santa Monica boards and commissions. Anyone interested in being a liaison?
For the Angel City Games, I know there was some mention about like possibly coordinating with, is it Parks and Recreation or Recreation? No, it's Recreation and Parks.
Yeah, I think it's Recreation and Parks. I think I had it backwards.
But yeah, it's switched. Okay, and then but they might not be interested. So it's just
as I recall. I mean, I talked to the chair a long time ago. They do organize like, these kind of like sporting events type things, so they might be interested in helping out with the organization there if it, if you need like space in a park or something to do this.
So maybe just kind of reach out to them and then be a liaison if they're interested, and then maybe, or just be a liaison anyway, just for the experience.
Commissioner, what's your vision? in terms of Angel City? Because I know the organization pretty well, so I
Oh,
just want,
do you really?
so I just want to,
okay.
get an idea of what you're thinking.
I thought maybe, I guess, hosting the games. It sounded like there's like a series of games over like the course of a couple days or like a
Right,
weekend or something.
they've done that they did it at UCLA for a while, I guess. I think they moved it from UCLA most recently. I don't know if you were.
It was during COVID. I did
Right.
it virtually.
So I went to one of them. They also do a lot of sub activities that are smaller than that, just around Southern California. So
Be open. I mean, something down at, like, my sister runs the Surf Academy and the Surf Bus Foundation, so she's got a contract with the city of Santa Monica, and
Right.
she runs so maybe something down at Tower 25, and just, you know, or some. I mean, and it doesn't have to be a Tower 25. I mean, something just in the park, or I'm open just on a weekend, like some weekend.
I think probably the best, I mean, I'll give you the name of the founder, and you should just reach out and get
Okay.
to know more about them.
Yes.
And then decide, you know, whether or not it would fit into Santa Monica or how that would go. And
Okay.
they're great. Just as an FYI, the founder's son won the gold medal on the Paralympics just recently. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
So they've grown from, you know, whatever, an idea to what he's done. So they are a great organization.
I feel like we should do it. I know we just passed this agenda item, but like we feel like we should do an ad hoc for the Olympics. Like I feel like we should have like an ad hoc just for the Olympics, like for coming to LA and stuff. Just because we're hosting, and I don't know.
Yeah, well, Santa Monica's not hosting anything.
That actually comes up for possible action plan for.
That's actually not a bad idea. And also, you can, they publicly post their agendas and maybe even their meetings. So if you want to learn more about that commission, do some research. So, okay, I'm going to keep it moving because this is an important one. 13A, discussion and possible action to plan agenda items for upcoming meetings. Thomas, we have some things coming up, right? Can you brief us real quick?
Yeah, so as Alana mentioned earlier, LAFLA has confirmed that they'll be at the next meeting. They are going to provide an update on what they do and address some of the concerns and questions that some members of the commission here have asked. If you have anything comes to mind that's top of mind during this session, please let me know and I can send them some notes on how to tailor that presentation. I also have a note out to the Chief Information Officer. I have yet to hear back. Perhaps I'm barking up the wrong tree, or maybe I need to go somewhere else, but we're trying to get them in front of you to update you on what the city is doing ahead of the 2026 deadline. Yeah. So we're working on that still. Yeah, I think for the next meeting, as we discussed, you know, the 25-26 plan is going to, you know, really be important to cover a lot of ground at that meeting. So that'll be a main item. But other than that, please let me know. I know we also talked about having the ADA coordinator back, and we addressed that a little bit tonight in terms of planning for the future. But you know, perhaps we can have him back shortly. If not November, then December.
No, thanks for that update. That's great. Yeah, we'd love to have him back ASAP because prediction is he's going to be on our plan. And then January, I'm trying to coordinate a presentation with the executive director from CalAble. CalAble is a program that allows you to save money in a CalAble account and keep your eligibility for SSI, because the limit again is $2,000 per person, $3,000 for a married couple, but you can put I think up to $19,000 a year And there's other options if you're employed. I don't want to get into all the details with this presentation, but the big thing is the eligibility age increases to 46 next year. So if your disability happened before you were 46 years old, starting January 1st, you now are eligible for an ABLE account. Before it was 26 years old, which is huge. So a lot more people are going to be eligible. A lot of people don't know about it, and it's a real good way to not only save money there's a lot of good things for this program, and as a social worker, it was an issue where people losing or being at risk of losing eligibility for SSI or Medicaid because of asset limits. So I'll keep you posted. I just sent her, there's interest, and I'll keep you posted on that, Thomas.
Could you spell that for me? CalAble, is that what you said?
CAL and then uppercase A, BLE. Okay. We need to work somehow. Chair Gordon, either we go there or she comes here. So that's.
Yeah, let me talk to you. She's not feeling well, so I should text her. I haven't texted her. Because she doesn't want me to call her after 8. So I'll do that.
And I'd also like to request anyone from the city who can give us clarity on the process for our commission's public hearing, and then 2, the protocol for getting items onto an agenda, and in that subsection, best practices from other commissions who have gotten items agendized that we can learn from. So the protocol and best practices. And that there's a bit of an urgency because, again, that's going to be on our plan for sure in draft. Okay, folks, and what do you think about future agenda? I know we got stuff. Any thoughts?
I've got one. My uncle has ALS. He saw a sign on a bus in Australia. He texted me a picture. I will forward it to Thomas for everyone to see. It was a sign that said, "Beware of people with invisible disabilities." And it talked about people who have autism and things like that. And it was a really cool bus sign. And it was just a really cool sign. And I thought it was really cool. And I thought it'd be really cool if the Santa Monica Blue Bus had signs like that. So just something to think about.
Maybe if you want to send me the hyperlink, maybe we can do it on announcements. So, okay.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to say that we have to keep in mind that everything related to sign on the buses, on a big board, it's cost money. I don't think the city now had the available budget for it. So we probably need to use some sort of alternative road, probably publish on a newspaper, something like this. Digital, yeah.
I guess I just wanted to ask I guess I wanted to request that there be some type of training protocols for a CalAble account. For example, a lot of the social workers, they don't know that that's exempt from the person's assets, and then they reduce their SNAP benefits, or they reduce their cash benefits, something like that. Because even though that's a state law and people know that, I don't think there's a training being implemented. And a lot of times the social worker will be like, "Oh, I don't know what that is." Or even the legal aid clinics, for example, LAFLA, they don't know how to categorize a CalAble account in terms of taxes either. And that's from lived experience recently. So I don't know. Is that an agenda item to be discussed, or?
Well, I think that fits when they present on questions of what to include in the presentation. And also these go on our YouTube. So then we'll have a recording of this presentation and maybe even a PowerPoint, and then we can send with community-based organizations. So that's good feedback to inform the CalAble presentation that's pending. And also, this is usually a standing agenda item, so if stuff comes up, like I want to see this at a future agenda, bring this up, or ideas, this is going to come up every meeting. But yeah, there's just not a lot of awareness on CalAble, and especially with it expanding to under 46, we want more people to know about it.
There is not a lot of awareness about old programs and how to calculate what included, what not included. So when those new programs established, it's just like very hard for people to prove their point that, for example, it's not included. So to be calculated in like for food stamp amount or like housing assistance or anything. So another question is, will we have a business card?
Thomas, are there Disability Commission business cards?
The answer is I don't believe there are business cards for any of the commissions. That might be something that fell by the wayside, but I can investigate the timeline for that, or maybe why that happened, or what the latest is with that.
Okay, appreciate it. Yeah.
Can I add on to the hidden disabilities comment that you made? Like, I don't see any protections for people who are autistic or have hidden disabilities. And a lot of times when people are autistic, they are self-aware. They don't have the ability to recognize when something is being harmful towards them. So I feel like it's important to implement or request some type of protection be made, especially in the application process. Like SSA, they allow the application to be based off the date of intent, not the date that documents are submitted or an application is completed. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because someone who's got severe depression or severe anxiety or is autistic and isn't aware, but they think they might be eligible for a program and they go out to apply for those programs in the city or in the state, and then they get talked down or deterred away from completing the application. There's no like protections in place for them and what they're eligible for.
Yeah, so actually I want to play right off that point, and Commissioner Royale raises a really important point, and I'm wondering if you can find out. And she raised the point about the cost of things like signs, like on the bus or something like that. And so can we find out like how something like that would work? Because we've actually, it sounds like we haven't done the annual public hearing in a number of years. So we actually haven't had that cost in a number of years. We actually haven't had it. And so it seems like there's been a number of years where it's just been skipped. And it seems like it's worthwhile to do it. I mean, to get the word out there for people to show up to have their voices heard. And I don't know who would bear the cost. So it's just an important thing to find out.
No, and that's reminding me, can possibly when we have the city staff advise us on the process for public hearing, getting things on the agenda for city council meeting, also just clarity around budget request process, and if there's a budget. That's always ambiguous to me, and I want, as reappointed, I want a reminder on how to do that, because it seems to be a moving target. Because yeah, there's things we want to do that need an appropriation or cost money. So if we could just get clarity on that. Trying to think. Definitely July, we're going to do something for Disability Awareness Month, looking far ahead. And next October, I want to do something for Disability Employment Month. So I think I just want to set a precedent of doing stuff on a regular basis. Disability Awareness Month, employment, annual hearing. So there's going to be 3 things every year, I'm hoping we do. And one thing we've done in the past too is just legislative updates. So if the meeting after the state process ends, or maybe January, actually, I think it was January, because that's when they're usually implemented, just being like, these are the California laws that affect people with disability. I think that's critical, because that informs, like, we just found out about the Senate bill that really dovetails well on our ad hoc. So I think a legislative update maybe for January. Is there a legislative analyst that could maybe come by January and let us know what's coming?
An analyst come by in January and let you know what's coming in terms of.
We've done it in the past where they're like, these are the laws that just are effective and they impact you. And they'd even give us even kind of a more macro view. These are the big things. Like, I know there's SB 43, which danger to self, it's like around conservatorships and 5150 and things like that. There's some big stuff being implemented January 1st. So that would be good. And again, folks, you can always email me if you have ideas for future agenda items if they don't come to you. And this will be a standing item for new commissioners.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to just open it up. Did we miss anything for future items? We got a lot of stuff lined up. And I know next month we got a deadline. All right, I'm going to move to end this meeting. I move to adjourn. Thanks, everybody, and welcome new commissioners.
Second.
Thank you. And welcome to the new commissioners. Congrats.
Thank you.
That was a lot.
Yeah,
That was
almost 3 hours.